You know, I play a fair amount of video games. One could even say I'm a gamer. But despite that, I've never really been one for merchandise. Most of the merchandise I own was either gifted to me or I just bought it on a whim. So I thought, how about I change that? Merchandise is a great way to show support for the things you love. So I went online, I watched my favorite podcast, I played my favorite game, I visited my favorite website, and then I bought this neat figurine of Monika. Here she is right here. Now there's something really interesting about this figure that I like a lot. Doki Literature Club, the first game to prove to the whole world that my fear of talking to women is justified. A game so perfectly designed to capture funny YouTuber reactions that it is inconceivable that I could be 7 years late to the punch. And it's not because I was in grade 8 and Whittle Baby Tracker Base was scared or anything. It's definitely not that. But I mean, can you blame me? How would you feel if you were trapped in a classroom suspended in purgatory, surrounded by 4 beautiful girls in short skirts and high school uniforms, and yet they all just happen to be 18? I see what you're doing here, and I'm not falling for your trap. It feels like the final test before your elevator goes up or down, you know what I'm saying? Whatever the case, it managed to be a raging success, praised for its unique approach to the visual novel genre, and those pesky spine chills you get when experiencing the true horror of reliving high school. But what I really want to know is, how did such an unsuspecting game sow terror into the minds of gamers around the world? What the fuck was going on in the creator's head to produce what is effectively Sakura Beach meets PT? And how was it did he manage to make anime girls so terrifying? Now, it should come as no surprise, but I've already played ddlc, multiple times in fact. But hey, I needed footage for the video, and it's always fun to see other people's reaction to it for the first time. So I grabbed some poor unsuspecting souls and started a new game. Released on September 22nd, 2017, Doki Literature Club is a metafictional psychological horror game that only disguises itself as a cutesy little dating sim visual novel. And I'm quite glad I brought that up so early, because the last thing I want is for people to think I'm some kind of stupid virgin who only makes videos about cute girls doing cute things. Ignore that. It's a game where you assume the role of an incredibly mundane high school boy who gets by on the average by playing games and watching anime, or as you probably know it, a Monday afternoon. The MC is invited by his childhood friend to visit her after-school literature club where you meet the remaining 3 characters. All 4 girls are very much representative of frequent anime tropes, so you can get a decent idea of their personalities very quickly. We've got the Sun from Teletubbies, Edgelord Ken Kaneki, an aggressive chihuahua, and GLaDOS but sexy. So GLaDOS. Sayori, Yuri, Natsuki, and Monika fit within the typical dere stereotype. In Japanese, dere means caring, or something to that effect, so when Natsuki, for example, is labelled a tsundere, it conveys her standoffish and harsh nature to those around her, yet it's also meant to express that she truly does care for her person of interest. Because hey, alcohol is cool and all, but have you ever felt someone truly love and care about you? Me neither, bottoms up. Considering it's a literature club, the members talk about books and writing. Yuri likes deep novels, Natsuki likes manga, and I guess we ran out of script space because the kind of books these two like isn't important apparently. Oh, and me? I've always been an avid reader. It's quite the page turner. The MC actually decides to join the club purely because of his huge, and I just mean massive, interest in literature. Once the conversation reaches the topic of poetry, Monika, the club president, suggests that all the club members should go home and write a poem to share with each other for the next meeting. So, at the end of the day, that's where the real exciting gameplay starts. You pick 20 words that you think your favourite club member will like based on what you've learned about their personality, and the one whose words are chosen the most is the girl you'll be spending time with the next day, a la typical dating simulator. You have the option to hang out with Sayori, Natsuki, Yuri, or Monika, except not her. Because if there's one thing that really gets girls going, it's symbols from a Latin script lexicon arranged in such a way that resembles legible phonetic combinations that can be spoken aloud coherently. Next, we learn about a cultural festival where the members intend to perform poems in front of other students to encourage them to join the club. Dear all trick-or-treaters, I'm coming back for that ass. If I didn't get that bud last year, then this year it's getting smashed. No, thank you so much, thank you. No, not me. No, you rock, and you know that. The preparation in the lead up to the festival involves questionable things going on with Sayori, eventually culminating in her confiding with you that she has depression. And more importantly, the chance to lick one of your other classmates' fingers. Following which, you're about to feel the lips of a woman for the first time, but you underestimated Sayori, for she is a level 100 cuck. She confesses her love for you, you say yes or no, it really doesn't fucking matter, and then she writes a nice little message on her poem sheet for the festival the next day. You go to her house and I gently open the door. Sayori?
I knew it!
I think there's someone hanging right there.
The game starts bugging out like,
Oopsie whoopsie, ooh, we made a fucky wucky, a little fucko boingo.
and now you have to play a new save file with this abstracted slop of code that may or may not be trying to get into your brain and maybe your pants, because Sayori is not just dead, she is deleted from the game. You essentially play the whole game again but without Sayori, and insane scary shit starts to happen, like sporadic distortions of character sprites ranging from boobs to There's also big black text, hidden images, and special poems that reveal way darker aspects behind Natsuki and Yuri's characters. Monika is way too unbothered, and it's not because she's a nonchalant queen. Yuri becomes obsessed with you to the point of stabbing herself, and then you wait while you watch her body decompose over the weekend. The day of the festival arrives, Monika deletes both Yuri and Natsuki, and restarts the game again. Trapped in a glitchy hell, Monika simply talks to you for ages about how she knows she's in a video game, and that all she ever wanted was to be with you, but she never had the opportunity because the game kept pushing you towards the other girls, so she deleted them. You feel something in your back pocket, hitting that Uno reverse and Thanos snapping the bitch. She realizes the error of her ways and restarts the game once more without herself there, and everyone lived happily ever after. Except not really, because Sayori now gains knowledge of her video game prison, but Monika puts a stop to her and starts breaking down the game while the credits roll. Phew! Well, now that was a hell of a chapter, and all I did was explain the plot. And what a mind fuck it is, going from all innocent and unsuspecting to straight up horrifying, building that unease as you try to figure out what the hell is going on. It's disturbing, it's uncanny. Normal people don't think about this kind of stuff. What kind of sick psychopath could have been responsible for Dan Salvato is a man who gets a kick out of watching you cry over pixels on a screen, but I can't say that I don't respect the hell out of him for that. And for someone who made a huge smash hit horror game, the dude is actually super chill and down to earth. Like many of you professional gooners, he grew up surrounded by the internet. By games, anime, and of course visual novels. Not me though. I'm not a nerd. As a result, Salvato was well known online even before ddlc. He gained prominence through his deep connections with the Super Smash Bros. Scene, being one of the best Melee Link players in North America. He would further deepen this connection by being a prominent contributor to the creation of many popular Smash Bros. Mods like Project Dam and 20XX. And I don't know what's more impressive, his skill and technological contributions, or the fact that he's a Smash Bros. Player that didn't diddle kids. His influence in the gaming world didn't stop there, however, for he was also known to create incredibly difficult Mario Maker levels like P is for Pain. P is also for Pneumono Ultra Microscopic Silico Volcanoconiosis, but I guess he couldn't fit that in the title. In addition, Salvato is also credited for the creation of Frankerface Z, a Twitch extension used by many that elevates their Twitch chat usage and moderation experience. But when it comes to our favorite horrifying harem, the story doesn't really pick up until 2015 when Salvato shared the idea of his developing visual novel project with his friend Corey Shin, who really liked the concept and pushed him to continue. It really goes to show what a good supportive friend Corey was to Dan, because if my friend came up to me with the idea of making Clanad but with pissed on poems, I would have slapped the shit out of him. Though when it comes to other visual novels and anime as a byproduct, Salvato seemed to become frustrated with the same old routine of reusing tired tropes and cliches that revolve around cute girls doing cute things. He's quoted to have a love-hate relationship with anime, and you really can't blame him when we get masterpieces like If My Wife Becomes an Elementary Student. And thank goodness the visual novel community is understanding of his critiques, because I'm just saying, when someone tries to make their own, let's just say creature collecting game, and implement their own critiques of the genre, it usually results in a lawsuit, broken kneecaps, and signing away custody of your firstborn child, present or future. I wanted to make a game that you could make fun of for having silly tropes, but then make fun of you for enjoying those tropes. Motherfucker. As for the horror aspect, Salvato credits his inspiration to Yume Nikki, Eversion, and Sonic.exe, except not that one. The decision to lean into the surreal, fourth wall breaking horror element certainly showcases Salvato's desire to stray away from the ordained and become more daring with plot concepts. He described his take on horror as things that are scary because they make you uncomfortable, not because they shove scary looking things in your face. And he's right. You've never truly been horrified until you sit your bare ass on the toilet seat only to realize that your phone has run out of battery. Salvato developed the game using the RenPy engine, which was a big advantage as it gave him the opportunity to play around with the source code of the engine and implement his own Python code. In doing so, he effectively removed great amounts of player control for his game, which only served to strengthen the spooky and enable manipulation of the game in more ways. The characters started far more basic than the final design, created using a free online anime creation program. I've tried using free online creation programs in the past, but they'd always tell me that there's desperate singles in my area. You don't have to remind me, I have a mirror! Salvato would eventually go on to have his college friend David Evelyn help him with more concept art, driving the character designs further to completion. Further concept art was then taken over by Kagefumi, leaving the characters to only remain spritified before being ready for the game. This task was handled by Satchley, who designed and implemented the character art, expressions, and poses that we would see in the final game. Furthermore, the stunning background art in every scene was handled by artist Valinquent. The composition for the game was handled entirely by Dan Salvato himself. With his passion for music composition, Salvato wanted to implement something simple, hummable, and catchy, but could also be recognized for recurring motifs. Most tracks would utilize piano and flute, giving you that insatiable reggae loop that kind of pisses you off, but gives you a sense of comfort at the same time. Eventually though, with everything finalized, Doki Literature Club released in September 2017 on itch.io and Steam. Salvato of course marked it as free, but enabled people to either donate what they wanted through itch.io, or buy the fan pack on Steam. The success of the game was surprising to him to say the least, if not also a little worrying, for he was unsure about how certain aspects of his writing around the topics of depression and suicide might be received. Thankfully though, Salvato received huge amounts of praise and positive messages and reviews, and he even got recognized by Jason Hayes, a composer for World of Warcraft. However, fame came with its struggles. For now, Salvato would have to handle business responsibilities, merch, a large online presence, and conventions. Though he handled it all in great stride, he pushed through to success and ended up in a position where he can be happy working on more projects and visual novels alongside his team. A team which he created to eventually put out Doki Literature Club Plus on several platforms, including consoles, with the help of Serenity Forge. It was a remaster, an upgrade of the original game, providing HD visuals, thank God, extra content in the form of side stories, and a virtual desktop to access all things Doki, plus some extra lore teasing new games he'd be working on. Even now, there's Team Salvato's website to keep up to date on new projects, or you could always check out Dan Salvato's Twitter where... yeah, he's still a bit of a memer, but we love him for that, and we love him for Doki Literature Club, and all the nightmares that came with it. Oh, that's right, this video was supposed to be about how he made it spooky.
Scary skeletons and shivers down your spine. Shrieking skulls will shock your soul, seal your doom tonight.
There's no reason to be scared. Well, actually, there's a few. Starting with contrast. Subversion of expectations is a popular writing technique where something happens contrary to an established belief or assumption for the purpose of being fresh and interesting, or in this case, unnerving. Your mind associates visual novels and cute girls in a literature club with love, happiness, and innocence, and so when that innocence is broken by something more sinister, when your expectations are subverted, your mind doesn't know what to do, and it makes you feel scared. It's like watching a top 10 creepiest Pokemon video when you're 10 years old that definitely doesn't scar you for life. But hey, I get it, some people are into beautiful yet murderous women.
You're dead and buried, darling.
And brick. Hello!
Anime and visual novels have their fair share of media within the horror genre, but ddlc doesn't present itself as such upon first download. Legally, yes, they do have to label their game as a psychological horror on Steam. Legally, yes, they do need to put a bunch of warnings at the start for safety reasons. And legally, yes, I am banned from operating my business in 4 different states. But even then, the shock value is quite welcome, and it's only enhanced by having someone play blind without having read the warnings or anything. That being said, don't just have anyone play this unless you're absolutely certain that they could handle it. 99 times out of 100 it's going to be fine, but it doesn't hurt to be safe. It also doesn't hurt to tell the audience spooky shit is about to happen using our next scary technique of foreshadowing. It's ever present in ddlc. The first day of sharing poems makes Monika remark that she's had some kind of epiphany recently. The epiphany of realizing that her world is a game, and that makes me feel validated as a gamer.
My life is like a video game.
You can reread Monika's poems to see that it really shines through her writing. I was looking out, and he, on the outside, was looking in, like looking out a screen at this human playing a visual novel. In Act 2, Monika says, "Sometimes it feels like you and I are the only real people here." Real people, as in she's a real person, not a video game character with pre-programmed actions. Yuri's poem, The Raccoon, implicates heavy parallels to self-harm, and we learn later that she is an aspiring barcode artist. She also mentions that stagnating air is common foreshadowing that something terrible is going to happen before Sayori kills herself. Plus, she mentions that this club is going to be the death of her.
Correct!
Sayori says she's going to keep writing until she dies, because her poem is never actually finished. It just stops moving. And you kind of left her hanging this morning, you know. Foreshadowing has a tight relationship with horror. They intertwine quite extensively. The anticipation, the dread, and the anguish are all emotions that are derived from foreshadowing's impact within horror. The power foreshadowing holds over us makes us uneasy, uncomfortable, yet provides enough suspense for us to want to continue on. And that's why ddlc gets people hooked to continue. Not just the cute anime girls, but the potential that something is coming, and that we have this morbid curiosity to find out what it is. There are countless, and I mean countless examples of little hints and details pointing toward what's really going on here, from Monika having the only stance facing the camera, to Natsuki reacting to the word Papa in the poem minigame. If I went through them all, we'd be here all day. There's at least like 5 more, maybe even 6. I can't even count that high. But while me can't number good, me still appreciate enhancing the horror through music. Like I said before, Dan Salvato composed the whole soundtrack himself, and it goes back to the whole contrast thing. Most of it all sounds bubbly, sweet, and catchy, so when all that turns around and you get to the track Sayonara, oh my god, you son of a bitch. It really makes your skin crawl. Violent, grating waveforms give you goosebumps, and then the main theme plays slowly with orchestral vocals and chimes that are just barely off. It makes you sad, depressed. And even then, I'd still prefer listening to it over KSI's new song, which makes me want to do a Liam Payne tribute act. Then there's the track Just Monika. I see what you did there, which is just as creepy. It's ethereal, inhuman. It sounds like some speakers are broken, like the game truly has fallen apart and continues to break further. And then to top it all off, the end credits play the main theme, but lyricized with phenomenal vocals from Jillian Ashcraft. I'm no music major, but the way Salvato plays with even the small sections of music, like the sped up version of Poem Panic when Yuri and Natsuki fight for the second time, the slowed down version of Natsuki's theme before she goes all Mortal Kombat fatality, or whatever the fuck that sick son of a bitch was doing with Yuri's third poem in Act 2. He influences your emotions and forces you to listen while reading, making you lose your sense of control and providing major discomfort. So, now that your ears are sufficiently blocked, allow me to scrunch up your face.
¿Quieres?
That's right, it's the visuals. My neck, my back, and my Volkswagen Golf 2014 hatchback. Horror is no stranger to gore. Blood, death, and vomit are all pretty typical scary things. So when it comes to jump scares or watching your bae stab herself, no, don't kill yourself, you're so sexy. There's not much else to say. Just solid horror stuff. Though it's the way Salvato manipulates what you see and how you see it that makes the pixels on the screen truly terrifying. Around Act 2, when things start getting all messed up, sprites and backgrounds glitch, creating static and RGB flashes, which was obviously a deliberate choice to create the effect of the game breaking when characters are missing. He played around with different layering, realistic face parts, and me when me and your mom, when I, but it's the effects that really sell it all. The grainy background, the big black bold text, the blood red overlay, it's unnatural and unsettling. Whatever normalcy there was before is broken by these sections and it makes you tense. It's a form of the uncanny valley where, wait a minute. Oh my fucking god. Where something is just slightly off so it keeps you on your toes. My favorite example is when you talk to Yuri in Act 2 and the room slowly starts spinning. It's just barely noticeable that you could maybe miss it, but when it goes back to normal you could tell something was off. And finally there's the horror aspect that makes this game very unique. The fourth wall breaking. It's not uncommon for people to be wary of, if not scared of AI. Details are shared in emails seen in ddlc Plus on how Monika was created and how she ended up taking over the game. It's real interesting stuff. I recommend the game theory video on it. So yeah, it's intriguing when she brings up saving your game or wanting to experience the real world out there. My favorite moments come in Act 3, where if you're not recording with traditional software, Monika can straight up say your real name, or if you are recording with OBS for example, she'll point out that fact and jump scare the audience. But the part part I'm more interested in is imagine if Deadpool, instead of just talking to the camera, fucking shoots through it and now there's a hole in your brand new couch. I'm talking about the files of ddlc itself. Well, at least in the base game. For Plus, they had to fuck with the files of the virtual desktop, which is still cool, but it's not the same. But when Sayori dies, for example, the background tells you to check traceback.txt for more details. So the inquisitive ones of us read it to find this ominous message, and then you click the character files and... That's brilliant use of breaking the fourth wall. This shit slaps harder than my stepdad. If you keep the game files open or check it regularly, you'll encounter Happy Thoughts, which is a poorly drawn image of Sayori with the noose around her neck, I.txt, which, yeah, can you hear me? .txt, and have a nice weekend. Scary stuff. And you're forced to interact with the game this way because to get to the main ending, you have to delete Monika's character file. It's just a really uncomfortable thought to a lot of people that an intelligent AI could make their home within their computer and mess with files and who knows what else. And I said the main ending because there are a few. The good ending, so to speak, ends off on everybody being happy. Well, as happy as you could be in this hellish literature club, and a personalized note written by Dan Salvato himself. To the special player who received this special ending. For years, I've been enamored by the ability of visual novels, and games in general, to tell stories in ways not possible using traditional media. Doki Doki Literature Club is my love letter to that. Games are an interactive art. Some let you explore new worlds, some challenge your mind in brand new ways, some make you feel like a hero or a friend, even when life is hard on you. Some games are just plain fun, and that's okay too. Everyone likes different kinds of games. People who enjoy dating sims may have a heightened empathy for fictional characters, or they may be experiencing feelings that life has not been kind enough to offer them. If they are enjoying themselves, then that's all that matters. That goes for shooting games, casual games, sandbox games, anything. Preferences are preferences, and our differences are the reason we have a thriving video game industry. My own favourite games have always been ones that challenge the status quo. Even if not a masterpiece, any game that attempts something wildly different may earn a special place in my heart. Anything that further pushes the limitless bounds of interactive media. I extend my gratitude to all those who have taken the time to achieve full completion. I hope you enjoyed playing it as much as I enjoyed making it. Thank you for being a part of my literature club. Love, Dan Salvato. You know what, Dan? I've been calling you this insane game developer, but I'd truly love to sing your praises, just as long as the chapter doesn't cut me off. Well, if nothing else, Dan Salvato was very successful in creating a generational horror game that takes itself seriously, but not too seriously, so you can still poke a bit of fun. It's unique. It's so clickbaitable that every YouTuber and their grandma played this game, and that's definitely a large reason for its success. But even now, the ddlc fandom is strong. There's so many artists and memers and mod creators that keep Doki Doki Literature Club alive today. It's become a top example of the heights that visual novels can reach, and I've got nothing but support for Team Salvato and the projects they make in the future. I came for the cupcakes, I stayed for the cute anime girls, and the only reason I'm still yapping is by God I need that ad revenue.